lock your door tonight. I mean that literally. Not because something is coming down your street. Not because you're in danger. Lock it because there is a conversation waiting for you in that room. And it has been waiting a long time. And it cannot happen while the door is open. You clicked on this title, and I already know something about you that most of the people in your life do not know. You have been carrying an identity you cannot prove. There is a version of you that has never been seen by anybody, not your mother, not your husband, not your closest friend from church, not the people who think they've known you since you were 9 years old. And the strangest part is that you can't explain it to them. Every time you try, the words come out small. They come out sounding like arrogance or like confusion, and neither one is true. So you stop trying. You put it away. You went back to work. You loaded the dishwasher and answered the emails and smiled in the hallway. And the whole time there was this other thing sitting underneath your ribs, like a stone that won't dissolve. Tonight I want to tell you where that gets settled. And it is not out here. It is not in a comment section. It is not in a group chat. It is not in a prophecy someone posts on their story with 3 fire emojis. It's behind a door you close on purpose. Because here's what nobody tells you about the way God reveals a person to themselves. He does it in private first. Every single time. He does the public part later. And he does it almost as an afterthought, almost casually, because the public part was never the point. The point was the room. Now let me say something about that title, because I chose it on purpose, and I want to be honest with you about it. The internet is very good at telling you who you are. It'll tell you your type, your number, your placement, your archetype, your gift, your season. And some of it is fun, and some of it is harmless, and some of it will get its hooks in you and never let go. Because the internet gives you a mirror with a very particular quality. It only reflects what you've already shown it. You feed it your questions, and it feeds you back a shape of yourself, made entirely out of your own material. It cannot tell you one single thing that God put in you before you had a face. So when I say your identity reveal shook the internet, I want you to hear what I actually mean. The reveal did not happen out there. The reveal happened somewhere quiet, in a life like yours. And then it started leaking. That's what shakes people. Not the announcement. The leak. When somebody spends time behind a shut door with God, and then comes back out into the ordinary world and can't hide the difference, that's what makes a room go quiet. That's what makes your coworker stop mid-sentence and say, "Something's different about you." They don't know what they're looking at, they just know the temperature changed. And the room is where it starts. I want to take you to a house in Israel with a woman in it who is about to lose her sons. Her husband is dead. He was one of the sons of the prophets, a man who served God, a man everybody respected, and when he died he left her a debt she could not pay. And in that world, debt didn't just take your things, it took your children. The creditor was coming. Not next year. Coming, and she has 2 boys in that house, and every sound outside the door is a countdown. She finds Elisha and she tells him the truth. My husband served God, and now the man is coming to take my sons as slaves. And Elisha asks her a question that must have felt almost cruel. He says, "What do you have in the house?" Think about that for a second. She just told him she has nothing. That's the entire crisis. That's the whole problem. And the man of God asks her to inventory a house she already told him is empty. She says, and you can hear it in her voice, nothing. Nothing at all. Except a little oil. A jar of it. Barely anything. And that except is the hinge of her whole life. Because Elisha tells her, go to your neighbors. Borrow vessels. Empty ones. Don't borrow a few, borrow many. Then go into your house and shut the door behind you, you and your sons, and start pouring. Shut the door. He didn't have to say that. She was going to be in her own home. Who shuts the door in their own home? But he says it anyway, and the Holy Spirit made sure that instruction got written down and carried across 3,000 years so that it could land on you tonight, in whatever room you're standing in right now with your phone in your hand. Shut the door. Then pour. And here's what most people miss about that story. The miracle was not that oil appeared. The miracle was that oil kept coming as long as there was somewhere to put it. She poured into one vessel, and it filled, and she reached for another, and it filled. And her sons kept handing her empty jars, and the oil kept flowing, and the whole house filled up with a wealth that nobody outside could see, and it only stopped when she ran out of room to receive. Not when God ran out, when she ran out of vessels. Now think about how that would have gone if the door had been open. Imagine the neighbors leaning in. Imagine somebody standing in the doorway saying, "Wait, where is that coming from?" Imagine the questions, the theories, the woman down the road who never liked her anyway saying, "That's not real. Watch. It'll stop." Imagine trying to receive something impossible while people you know are narrating it in real time. She couldn't have done it. Neither can you. Because the closed door isn't about secrecy. It's about capacity. It's about giving God a room where you are not performing, not defending, not explaining, not managing anybody's opinion of what he's doing in you. It's the only place where you can be poured into without spilling. I think about a woman I'll call Renee, though that's not her name. She rents the upstairs half of a house in Dayton, Ohio. She works overnights at a distribution center off the highway, the kind of place with concrete floors and lights that hum. And she comes home at 6:40 in the morning, when the rest of the street is starting their day. Her kids are already at her sister's. She eats standing up at the counter, and for about 11 months, she'd been carrying something she could not say out loud, this sense that God was doing something in her that had nothing to do with her circumstances. And everything about her circumstances made that feel ridiculous. She told a woman at church once. The woman patted her hand and said, "We're all called, honey." That was the last time she said it out loud for almost a year. So she started doing this thing. She'd come home in the morning, and she'd close her bedroom door, and she'd pull the blinds even though it was daylight, and she'd sit on the edge of that bed with the fan running, and she wouldn't ask God for anything. That was the part that surprised her. She stopped asking. She just sat there and said, over and over, "Tell me who I am. I'm not leaving until you tell me who I am." Nothing happened for weeks. And then something did, and she still can't fully describe it. And that's exactly how I know it was real. Because the counterfeit always comes with perfect language. The real thing comes with a shaking you have to sit down for. Her circumstances didn't change that morning. Same job, same rent, same overnight shift. But something in the center of her got set, like concrete going hard, and she has not been able to be talked out of it since. People notice. They can't name it. Her supervisor asked her last spring what she was doing different, because morale on her line was up, and he didn't have an explanation for it. She just smiled and said she'd been praying. That's the leak. That's the whole thing right there. Now let me take you to a night that changed the identity of an entire people. And it happened behind doors. Egypt. The last plague. Everything else has already come and gone, and Pharaoh's heart is still stone. And God gives Israel an instruction that is almost unbearably domestic. He doesn't tell them to gather in a field. He doesn't tell them to march. He tells them, "Take a lamb, take it into your house, Put the blood on the doorframe, and then go inside, and stay inside, and don't come out until morning. Stay inside. There is a whole nation being born that night, and God's instruction to them is, be in your house with your family, and eat quickly with your shoes on. Think about what that night was like. You're inside. You can hear things outside that you will never forget as long as you live. You cannot see the door frame you marked because you're on the wrong side of it. You cannot verify that it's working. All you have is the word you were given, and the blood you already applied, and a door you are not allowed to open. And when the sun came up, they were not slaves anymore. Same people, same skin, same accents, but a completely different identity, and it was settled in the dark, indoors, on the strength of a mark they couldn't even look at. I want you to sit with that, because I think it describes exactly where some of you are. You applied the blood. You made a decision about God a long time ago, and you meant it. And now you're in a long night, and you cannot verify anything. You can't see the mark. You can hear things going on out there that scare you. And every instinct in you says, open the door. Go look. Get some confirmation. Ask somebody. Check. And the word to you is the same word it was to them. Stay in. Morning is coming, and it's going to find you as somebody else. Here's the part that costs you something, and I'd be lying to you if I skipped it. The people around you will not understand the closed door. They will read it as distance. Some of them will read it as pride. Your family will notice that you're quieter at gatherings, and they'll decide you think you're better than them. Somebody will say you've gotten weird since you started all that praying. And you will feel this pull, this constant, grinding pull, to open the door just wide enough to prove you're still one of them. Don't. Not because they're your enemies. Most of them love you, but love is not the same thing as understanding. And there are seasons where a person can love you sincerely and still be the exact wrong witness to what God is doing in you. I've watched this happen at kitchen tables all over this country. Thanksgiving, somebody's aunt asks the question that isn't really a question, so, what's going on with you lately? And there's this half second where you weigh it. You think about telling the truth, and then you look around at the plates and the football on in the other room, and the cousin who's already looking at his phone, and you hear yourself say, oh, you know, same old, and you pass the rolls, and something in you goes quiet for another 6 months. That is not cowardice. I want to be careful here. Sometimes that is wisdom. Sometimes protecting a thing from a room that would trample it is the most faithful thing you can do that day. But you have to know the difference between guarding it and burying it. And the difference is simple. What happens after everybody goes home? Do you take it back out in private and put it in front of God? Or do you leave it buried until the next holiday? The oil stopped when the vessels ran out. It never stopped because God got tired. And I've watched people stop their own flow. I've done it myself by turning the sacred room into a courtroom where they defend themselves to people who never asked a real question in the first place. I want to be very direct with you now, and I'm going to tell you something about myself. My name is George. I make these messages, and I want you to know I did not arrive here from a mountaintop. There was a stretch of about 2.5 years where I did the thing I'm telling you not to do. I kept the door open. I told everybody. Every time God stirred something in me, I ran it out into the daylight and handed it around to be examined. Because I wanted somebody, anybody, to look at me and confirm it. And what I got back was polite, careful, concerned. Sometimes, and every time, I came home a little smaller than I left. The turn came on an ordinary Tuesday. Not a crisis. Not a hospital. I was sitting in my car in a parking lot, with the engine off and I was so tired of explaining myself that I just stopped. And I said out loud, in an empty car which is its own kind of shut room, "I'm done showing this to people. If you put it in me, you confirm it." And he did. Slowly, over months. In a room with the door closed and my phone face down on the dresser. That's not a technique I'm selling you. That's just what happened. And it's why I can tell you with a straight face that the thing you're looking for is not going to be found in a crowd. The calling is wide. The instructions reach only a few. If there is a burning in your spirit right now, do not minimize it. That is the sign. The secret protocol delivers the 7 keys God reserved for those who are ready to unlock what was sealed inside them before birth. The full audiobook is included to absorb in depth, in your own time, in the presence of God. And the Awakening Map, the bonus guide that reveals the 5 stages of spiritual awakening and positions you with precision at the exact point of your journey today. Link pinned in the first comment. For a limited time, only because not every door stays open forever. Let me tell you about a man who almost missed his identity because he needed it to happen in public. Naaman was a commander, Syrian army. Decorated, respected, the kind of man who walked into a room and the room rearranged itself around him. And he had leprosy, everything he built, and underneath the armor his skin was coming apart. A little Israelite servant girl in his house, a captive, a child, somebody with no standing whatsoever, tells his wife there's a prophet in Samaria who could heal him. And that's how it gets to him. His breakthrough comes through the mouth of a girl he could have ignored his entire life. So he goes. And he goes big. Chariots, horses, silver, gold, 10 changes of clothing, a letter from his king. He pulls up outside Elisha's house with a caravan. And Elisha doesn't come out. He sends a messenger to the door, a servant. And the message is, "Go dip in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh will come back." Naaman is furious. And I love that the Bible records exactly what he says, because it's so human it's almost funny. He says, "I thought he would come out to me. I thought he would stand there and call on the name of his God and wave his hand over the place. I thought he would come out to me." That's the whole thing. That's what he needed. He needed the ceremony. He needed witnesses. He needed a reveal that matched the size of the entrance he made, and he's ready to drive all the way back to Syria, with his skin still falling off, because the process was too small, and too private, and too undignified. And it's his servants, the people with no rank, who talk him down. They say, "Father, if he'd asked you for something great, wouldn't you have done it? How much more when he just says, 'Wash and be clean'?" So he goes down to a muddy river with nobody important watching, and he goes under. Once, nothing. Twice, nothing. 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And he comes up each time and looks at his arms, and it's the same. Can you imagine the 6th time? Can you imagine standing in that water, dripping and humiliated with your officers on the bank pretending not to look? 7th time. And the scripture says his flesh came back like the flesh of a little child. Not like a commander. Like a child. He went into that water as a general, and he came out as somebody's son. That's the identity reveal. And it happened in a brown river, with an audience of servants, and no one from his own country who mattered. Now, tonight, let's get practical, because I don't want to leave you with a feeling instead of an instruction. Pick the room. It doesn't have to be a bedroom. I've known men who did this in a truck cab at a rest stop off I-70 with the seat pushed back. I've known a woman who did it in a bathroom because it was the only door in the house with a lock and 4 kids on the other side of it. God is not particular about the architecture. He's particular about the door. Close it. Actually close it. There's something that happens in your own spirit when your hand pushes a door shut. On purpose, it's a declaration before you've said a word. You're telling your own soul, nothing is coming in here for the next 20 minutes. Put the phone somewhere else, not face down on the bed. Another room. I'm serious about this one, because the phone is the open door. You can shut every physical door in your house and still have 500 people in the room with you. And then, and this is where most people get it wrong, don't lead with your requests. I'm not against asking God for things. Ask Him for everything. But not first. And not tonight. Tonight, do what that widow did. She didn't stand in the middle of that house and beg. She took inventory, and she started pouring the little she had. So take inventory out loud. Say what you actually have. I have a job I don't love. I have a marriage that's tired. I have $300. I have a body that hurts. I have this thing in me I can't explain. Say the little jar of oil out loud, because you can't pour from something you won't admit you have. And then say the sentence. Whatever version of it is true for you. Tell me who I am. Show me what you put in me. I'm not leaving until you say something. And then, be quiet. Longer than is comfortable. Long enough that your mind runs out of things to organize. Your brain is going to try to fill that silence with a grocery list, and the thing you should have said to your manager on Thursday, and the text you forgot to send. Let it run itself out. Don't fight it. Don't scold yourself for it. Just let it finish talking. Somewhere past the point where you'd normally give up and reach for the phone, the noise thins out. That's usually right about where it starts. I'll tell you what to expect, so you're not thrown by it. It may not come as a voice. For most people it doesn't. It comes as a knowing that settles a certainty that arrives without a chain of reasoning attached to it. And it doesn't argue with you, and it doesn't work hard to convince you. It just sits down inside you and stays. And you'll test it. You'll come back the next day and poke it to see if it's still there. And it will be. Sometimes it comes as a memory, something from when you were 7 or 11, some moment you have not thought about in 30 years, and it comes back with a weight it didn't have then, and suddenly you understand what was happening in it. God does that. He goes back and puts the caption on the photograph. Sometimes it comes as tears you didn't schedule. Don't be embarrassed. Something is being loosened. And sometimes, honestly, the first night is nothing at all. And you have to go back the second night, and the fourth, and the ninth. Renee sat in that room for weeks. Naaman went under 6 times looking exactly the same. The measure of it is not what happens at the door. It's whether you're still there on the 7th dip. There's one more door I want to show you. Jericho. The walls are coming down, and the whole city is going to be leveled. And there's a house built into the wall itself, with a scarlet cord hanging out the window. Rahab's house. And the instruction from the spies was very specific. Bring your father, your mother, your brothers, everyone in your family, bring them into your house. And whoever goes out into the street, that's on them. But whoever stays inside with you is safe. She was a woman with a reputation in that town. Everybody knew what she was. And on the day the whole world came apart, her house was the safest square footage in the city, not because of what she'd been, but because of the mark on it and the door she kept everybody behind. Your reputation is not the mark. What people decided about you at 19 is not the mark. There is a scarlet thread hanging out of your life that you cannot see from the inside, and God can see it from a mile away, and it is the reason you are still standing after some of the things that should have taken you out. So lock the door tonight, not to hide, to receive. And here's what I want from you in the comments. And I'm asking for something specific, so please don't just give me a heart. Tell me the room. Tell me where your door is. Is it a bedroom with the blinds down at 7 in the morning? Is it a bathroom with kids banging on the other side? Is it a parked car in a lot behind a Kroger? Is it a garage in the winter with a space heater going? Name the room. And then tell me one thing you've never said out loud to another person about what you believe God put in you. Not the polished version. The version you're afraid sounds crazy. I read them. And I'm telling you right now, somebody is going to scroll past your comment tonight and find out they're not the only one. And that alone is worth more than anything I said in the last 20 minutes. This channel is created without ads and without platform income. If these messages have touched your heart, strengthened your faith, or helped you during a difficult moment, and you'd like to support this work, you can use the CR code on your screen or the contribution link in the pinned comment. Thank you for walking this path with us. The oil didn't stop because God ran out. It stopped because there was nothing left to pour into. Go find another jar and shut the door behind you.